Okay, this event is a mess, just a complete mess. It's off to a really rocky start. So far, I've seen pretty much no positive feedback on this event, and for good reason. It just makes pretty much 0 sense so far. But then again, this is just the first day. There are 2 other days of importance here with the 24th and the 29th, but the lack of communication about those days makes this 1,000 times worse. So let's get started here. First off, you're greeted with these terrible offers. 1.5k units for a Paragon player to get a Nexus Crystal, a 6-star one. That's just not too good in my opinion, but let's move past this. Let's talk about the gold trade-in store. Now this had hype, but then Kabam was like, no, don't be so hyped, and I'm glad they did that because, yeah, this is also pretty stinky. So you can trade in 1.1 million gold for a 1 to 2 gem. That's pretty bad. The 2 to 3 gem is nothing too good either. And then 7.7 million gold for a 3 to 4 generic gem. That's okay if you have a ton of gold, but for me and for a lot of players who struggle with gold, that is not really worth it in the slightest, right? But let's talk about the other things in this store. There is a generic gem and some signature stones for about 1,000 units. That's decent. For Paragon players, honestly not too good because you get a generic gem every single month in the side events. So this is honestly just not worth it. But you can trade in a generic gem for 56 stones, which honestly is pretty decent given the amount of gems we get anyway. And there's also this really fun offer where you pay 8.8 thousand units to get a 4 to 5 Nexus Crystal. Keep in mind, that same crystal was in the offers in the Odins last July. So in comparison, it seems pretty terrible, right? And here is the really fun part. So you can trade in 11 featured 6-star crystals for a 7-star hero. And I know you're thinking, how do I get all those shards? Because I buy the featured crystals to get featured characters, not to hoard them for a 7-star champion, right? Of course, because no one was told about this. Well, I have a solution. You can just buy the 6-star shards. How fun is that? $15, 30,000 6-star shards, half of a tier 6 basic and tier 3 alpha, as well as 1 fabulous crystal, some extra gold as well, and no units. They removed the units from these offers, which is bad, right? Because that makes it a lot less valuable. And then, yeah, $15 for that. If you want it, it's decent, I guess, but I wouldn't tell someone to buy it at all, pretty much. There's also this offer here, which gives 1,000 7-star shards, 2 25% tier 6 class Callus selectors, as well as some Paragon crystals and some tier 5 selectors, and some stones and some gold for $40, and also no units besides the fabulous crystals. It's okay. It's nothing too crazy. The tier 6 is always great to have, but besides that, it's just a decent offer for a lot of money, so be careful with your spending. And then there's the big one. There is the $70 offer, limit of 5, because of course there is a limit of 5. You get 2,500 7-star shards, you get some Titan shards, you get a 5-star Relic Nexus Crystal, you get 2 of each tier 6 and tier 3 Catalyst, pretty decent. And then to add on top of that, there is a tier 6 class Callus selector. That's pretty good as well. Then some gold and some fabulous crystals, but no included units besides the fabulous crystals. This offer, as the big one, is okay at best. If you want to buy it, go ahead, but there is better use of your money, not just in the game, but of course anywhere else, right? But I mean, if you want to spend on this game, it's decent, but keep in mind you get no bonus units besides those fabulous crystals, which can just be as minimum as 200 units, so keep that in mind. And here is the most confusing part. So you can just buy offers, right, and you get points for this event. You can do some battlegrounds matchups as well. The battleground solo objectives points and the alliance quest points are pretty tiny in my opinion, but there's also just a lot of offers that we don't know about yet that are in this solo event. and they don't tell us what the offers are because of course they don't. Why would they hint at them when they can just make people spend for it eventually? Super annoying. I've always hated that about Kabam, that they just hide offers for the longest time possible. But yeah, a lot of missing points here because we don't know about the offers until the 24th or the 29th. So keep that in mind. You're not missing points yet, you just haven't got the offers to get those points. But yeah, the Battlegrounds and Alliance Quest points seem really tight, like really, really tight. So that's also not a fun time. And here is the biggest, I don't even know, just the cherry on top of this already kind of messy event. The selector that you get at the final milestone is a bit of a tricky one because the Cavalier progression title gets a 7-star hero crystal. Pretty good stuff. And Paragon and Thronebreaker get a 7-star Civil Warrior. Don't know if that's going to be good, right? Because he's not confirmed for a buff or anything. So if you want to chance it, which I feel like a ton of people do, they can just get the 7-star crystal and just pass on the Civil Warrior. Now, hyping up Civil Warrior as being your top prize and then releasing a sub prize that is arguably better than Civil Warrior is just a bit goofy in my opinion. But here's the thing. This is a lot of points. It's like 5.2 thousand points for the final reward, and from the looks of it, it seems to be mainly from spending money, or maybe spending some gold or like some units as well. But for the most part, it looks like you want to spend money to get the most points here. But I don't know that because I might be wrong, but I don't know if I'm wrong because they haven't given us the single slightest hint on the future offers, which, like I said, is one of my least favorite things about this business practice because we don't know anything about the future offers even though they're so close and the event has already started for it, which is super annoying, but it is what it is, man. Like, this event has gone off to a messy start. Maybe the offers in the later days are just a lot better and a lot, like, casual spender friendly, but so far it looks like a pretty whaley event or just a really hoarder friendly event, even though Kabam doesn't like hoarders, so that's pretty comedic as well. But let me know your thoughts on this event. If I do complete the milestones, I will just pick Civil Warrior for the content and to test them out. But don't follow in my footsteps, probably. You might just want to go the 7-star crystal, but I don't know just yet. And yeah, that's about it for me.